and you'll reach the right clients, and you'll be able to sell what you have, to add value to the right people. You know, there's no point in buying a car for a horse. You know, a horse is not going to be able to get into the car, and sometimes you design products but you market to the wrong people. G'day podcast tribe, Gerald Hubert here on the Unlock Your Growth podcast. This is the podcast that helps you to unlock your growth and to become the person that you have been made to be. Welcome back to this week's episode, and this week we are continuing from last week's episode where we started to speak about the 5 reasons why your business is not growing. So once again, maybe if it's your first time here, please do go back and listen to last week's podcast so that you can hear the points that we spoke about. We spoke about only 2 of the points, but today we're going to cover the other 3. So with me here in the studio, I just want to welcome him quickly, my friend and co-host, Christian Nyambui. Welcome.
Hi, podcast tribe. I'm so excited again. And then always excited to, to discuss with you about this week. We are just going to continue about the last week topic or subject. So I'm so excited for that, because I didn't finish everything. We didn't finish, so it's very
the time just went. When you're having fun, time runs. So this week, we are going to talk about 3 important topics and things that might be hindering your business from not growing. And I want to get right into the first one, which is one that I really enjoy talking about, which is that it is probably because you don't have a business brand strategy. Now, many people understand what a business brand is, or they think they understand that. And for most people out there, if the normal person, maybe that's not an entrepreneur or somebody that hasn't really studied branding, they would say that a brand is a logo. It's the colors, the color palette of the company, it's the typography, and it's the logo, the things that I can see. But the reality is that your brand is actually only 10% of your brand is what you can see. The other 90% of what makes a brand is things that you cannot see. So we are not going to talk about all the things in a brand strategy, but we want to talk today about why it is important that your business has a proper brand strategy, that you have a plan in place. And this is why it's called a brand strategy, because there's a strategy behind the brand. Your brand is the tool for your business in order to reach and engage and connect and keep your clients. Your brand is not just the thing that people recognize you with, but it's the very thing that they engage with. Think about your brand as a person, right? Like an individual person. And when you have a brand, it is what that person is like. That is the person that your client will engage with. It's your brand. Many people think about, when they think about branding, they confuse it with the idea of marketing. But there's a good illustration, which is that branding is the person, marketing is how you dress that person. Right? It is how, if you dress up nice and you go out, let's say you are still single, let's say you're going to go out, with friends, and so you dress nicely because there's potential, friends, potential wife maybe, right? So that the way you dress, the way you make up yourself in public, that is marketing. That the way that people see you out there, the way you put yourself out there. But if there's no brand, what are you putting out there, right? There's nothing to put out there. And you cannot build a brand simply around the visual things, because even those visual things like the color palette that you choose, the colors of your logo, the typography of your logo and of your that you use on your website and on your designs, the way your logo is designed, all of those things are strategically prepared and designed. Not like, oh, I like this thing, or I like that name, and I like the way this logo looks like. It's not about what you like. It is about what your client likes. And that's the thing that most people misunderstand, is they make their brand based upon their own preferences, but they don't realize that the brand is actually there to connect with the client, and therefore it has to be something that speaks to your ideal client. So part of that is that we need to figure out who is our ideal client, right? Like, how would you go about building your brand strategy? Like, why is it important for you?
It's very important. It's a mistake that most people they made in the past. Not only you or me or you,
yes,
but even big brands that we see. It's just not today. Now they're starting to work again. But at the beginning, that's the biggest mistake that most people they make. By there, people they start a business or they work in their branding with their own preference. Like, I like black, I like green. But what is the language behind that? It's the language that matter. And then who you are addressing or who you are making that brand for.
Yes.
I'll give one example. When I was studying, my medical school, they told us even the color in the room where there is people who are sick matter. You see?
That's why you don't see any yellow hospitals.
That's matter because that's influence people who are sick there. That color will influence the way they see. Oh, so many things comes with that. So everything, if I want to make my brand strategy or I want to make my business or my brand, I will start by my vision. Who do I want to influence? Because business is all about influencing others to buy your product.
Yeah.
But who? You can't make a business for kids with adult brand or adult color, adult mind. No. You have to see what do you want to accomplish by there and then define your ideal customers. And then you will start to work from that. Because you know this is my target.
Do you have a client persona? Do you understand your client's archetype? You know, that's
like there's so much there's so much to say about this, but here we want just to remind you that one of the things that can block you by not, or block your business by not growing, one of the reasons why your business is not growing can be your brand strategy. You have a logo, that's your logo. Is your logo respond to your brand strategy? Or it's just something that you see, you go on internet, you see, no, this logo, and then you make something like that. So maybe if you see that you're not growing, try to go back and then try to study your brand strategy and then take things by there and then change what you can change. If you don't know, you can now even go and then look for specialists. Even as Oxano, we can help you. In the same way we did for ourselves, the same way we help others, we can help you as well. Because it's very important for you to know your brand strategy. And then the brand strategy is the one that will help you Other mistake here is like, people, they start a business with the marketing in their mind, not the brand strategy in their mind.
Yeah. But then you're marketing to the wrong people. You're putting your product in front of the wrong people, or you're attracting the wrong client. And then you wonder, why are people not enjoying my product, or why is this not working out? But you're actually targeting the wrong people with your language, with your story, with what you are saying. You're speaking. It's like I'm trying to speak to you, but I'm speaking in, I don't know, Spanish to you, and I'm like, why are you not responding to me? Like, why are you not listening? Or if you speak French to me, like, comment allez-vous? Ça va? I understand something, but I won't get you, and I won't appreciate what you have to offer to me. That's the brand.
People buy the experience.
Mm-hmm.
People don't buy your product. They buy the experience that product will take them.
Buy of the emotions.
Yes, the emotion. So you have to know their emotion so that you can sell those emotions to them. And then the only thing that can give you that answer is your brand strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The study of your brand strategy. And then you will know which emotion to sell and then to who.
And many people don't want to do brand strategy because it's hard work. I mean, how many weeks, months did we spend on our brand strategy? Researching, learning, analyzing our competitors, analyzing our clients, understanding who is our client, how do they think, where do they live, like what is their needs, what is their weaknesses, what is their strengths, what are they looking for? Like, it takes a long time to go through this, but at the end of the day, it's worth it because you build a proper strategy and you know that your brand is going to speak to the right people, your message will come across the right way, and you'll reach the right clients and you'll be able to sell what you have, to add value to the right people. There's no point in buying a car for a horse. A horse is not going to be able to get into the car. And sometimes you design products, but you market to the wrong people and you wonder why they complain it's too small, it doesn't work. So on to the next point. So on that point, just a tip, like Chris was saying, make sure that you have a brand strategy. And if you need help with that, you're welcome to reach out to us if you want to, or to any other person that is a professional in that area to help you. And I think, going over to the next point also is that you have business brand strategy, and then you also have personal brand. Now, we're not going to talk about personal brand today, but we are going to talk about the person behind the brand, right? Which is you as a business owner. It's the CEO, the business owner, the founder, the director, the manager, the person that's in the business, running the business, making the decisions. Most of the time, your company is not growing. And I know this is a difficult one to swallow, but hear us out for a moment. Don't stay out. Just keep on listening. It's because you as a person are not growing. And maybe, when you hear this at first, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, I don't need to grow, or I'm fine. But the reality is that you cannot separate you as a person and the company that you run. Because the company that you run, behind the clockwork of the company, it's you. It's the staff, right? It's not just the management. It's the staff that the company employs. It's the owner of the company, because the leaders in the company, they set the vision. They set the pace. They set the culture. They set the attitude. They are the ones that drive the business. And so if you are not growing as a person, and if your staff is not growing, your company is not going to grow. In fact, you can destroy your company very easily. We know the damage that one person can do to a company. And that's why it's so important for an individual person to grow. If you don't grow as a person, you can't expect your company to grow.
Us people, but I understand. No, the Bible say my people die because of the lack of knowledge. You will condemn, you will say, no, my company is not growing. No, I'm not making profit. I'm not selling. I'm not doing. The growth of the company depends on what object or what goal you're fixing to yourself. But to attain that goal and to go towards what you want your company to accomplish, there's someone behind that work to do the work. That's why even as Oxano, when like someone approaches us and want to work with us, we look at the company, but we don't just stop in the company. We'll go to the person who are running the company, who's working there, what's making them not to work properly. And I will give an example of someone that I know closer to me. She will tell you no, like she doesn't care about a company that she's working for. She's going there just because of she wants money. And then she will do what they will tell her to do. Nothing excites her to do more. So you see that if we focus only in the company, like the brand strategy of the company, what the companies do, what service the company is delivering, what is doing, which product, that's the limit. But beyond there, it's someone who has to sell. There's someone who has to talk. There's someone who has to deliver the service. You as a company, as a owner of the business, there's meetings, there's so many things to do. Even your own vision, because the company is the company. Let's say the company can be just this studio. The company can be your laptop. The company can be your big house. There, it's a company. But you are the one who's running. And then you are the one who's fixing the goals. And then you run the company like the same. What you think is what you do. So if you are the captain of the ship,
you are steering the ship. Why is the ship going on the rocks? Ask the captain.
Maybe not your product. Your product, people can buy anything. You can sell anything if you are a grown entrepreneur. Because you know what to do and then when to do. It's like you are not growing, you are not learning, you are not trying to see, like to expand your mind, to try to see things. The business will be just like that because you are not growing. But more you grow, more the business will grow because by you growing, you'll be seeing things differently. By you growing, you will see where you are lacking things. By you growing, you will see where, because growing is not just you noticing your weakness. That can be just a step. You growing already, it's trying to see, no, here's my mistake. And then now you work on that mistakes, and then now you improve, and then you change now in the business, and then you go to the next one, and then your growth as a business owner, it's permanent. It's a lifetime.
So I've grown now, so you can, and this is the thing, like your business can never outgrow you. It will only grow as far as you have grown. And I was thinking about this as you were talking. A leader that is growing will always build a growing team. And if your team is growing and you are growing as a leader, there is no way that your business will not be growing. Like many times when our companies are not growing, we look at the outward factors, right? We say, well, it's the client's fault, like they are just stingy people. Oh no, we're going through an economical situation and people don't have money to spend. And so that's why we're not doing so well. Like, yeah, that's true in some degree, but maybe it's just a challenge for you to grow, for your company to grow and to innovate, to think of new ways to add better value, to change, which is going to be the next point that we're going to get to. But it's like, you cannot blame your staff. You cannot blame the products. You cannot blame the marketing team. You cannot blame the clients. You cannot blame the economy or the climate change if you have not looked at yourself. Like, if you are growing and you are doing everything that you can to grow and to build a company and it's not happening, then you start looking outwardly. Because then you can say, okay, the internal mechanism of the company is working well. This is a well-oiled machine. Like, I'll give you an example, right? If I get into my car today and I try to start my car, like, am I going to get out of my car and like, this road, like these government, like this road is the problem. That's why my car is not running. No, what is the first thing that you do? You check the engine, like you check the battery, you open the bonnet. You don't go digging the road up because you understand it's inside that's the problem. And most companies are not growing because of inside is not growing. It's not being changed. It's not transformed. And that's very important, that we need to take ownership as business owners to say that it's first my responsibility. I am responsible first and above everything and above everybody else. I'm pastoring a church. If the church is not growing, I cannot look and say, these people, they just don't want to come to church. Like, I have to look to myself. And many times I've had difficult conversations with myself to say, well, it's not outside that's the problem. I have to start here. And if I am not making an effort to grow, I cannot look at my company and say, company, why are you not growing? Oh, it's the devil, it's the devil. Like, I have to start with myself and say, how can I change? Maybe, like we spoke about this last week, if you haven't listened to this 2 weeks ago on 5 reasons why you are not growing, go back and listen to our first 2 podcasts. Because that's where you'll learn and see that there are reasons why your growth is stifled, why it's not happening the way it should. And then work on yourself, take responsibility, take ownership, grow. And I promise you, you will see a change in your company. It's it is just the way that it is. A company is simply the fruit of the work that takes place inside. It tells a story of what's happening inside. So very important for us to realize that your company cannot grow
if you're not growing.
And this takes us then, like you like alluded to this a little bit, and then we're going to talk about this as well. Maybe you want to share the third point with our listeners?
Right. Adjustment, no?
Mm-hmm.
You are not growing because you are not adjusting things.
Mm-hmm. Not adapting.
Or adapting.
Yeah.
Because I like this, the way like they're just aligning, If you grow, you will know where to adjust.
Yes.
And then where to adapt yourself. You gave an example of like very good one of like, no, there's a crisis, like no COVID, and there's no money. By there, you will know where to adjust your vision. You will know where to adjust. Okay, now people are not going outside. Now I have to move online, And there you are adjusting. And then most brands, they started somewhere. And then by going, they're adjusting. And then that's even the modernization. Like, this world didn't start the way it is right now, but there's people who were growing and they're seeing the need in this world and they're trying to adjust and adapt.
Imagine if we didn't adjust and adapt, like we wouldn't have light bulbs because people would be like, well, just use candles. They are fine. Technology is based upon the idea of innovation. Innovation is the idea of changing the way you do things, right? It's not changing what you do, it's changing how you do it. And many times it's like we need to realize the need for change because the world is constantly changing. You cannot expect things to remain the same. You cannot expect your company to do the same thing year after year, the same way. You never pivot, you never make changes, you never innovate, you never adapt. Like, you are going to die. Like, the company is going to die a slow, quiet death.
Because the time that you are focusing, like, you are not adjusting things because you are not growing, or you are not seeing the importance, or you don't want to change. Oh, this is my idea. I want it to be like this. But you are not alone in the market. There's other people who are doing the same thing you are doing. Them, they will be adjusting, and then they will take over you, and then you will die.
Yep.
So while you are working in your business, open your mind. I will give these tips. An entrepreneur must always have this thing in the mind. Observation. Observe while you are working with your business. By observing, decide. And take action and act of that action. And then that is not something that you do it like constantly. You must check on how your business is going. Observe how the world is working, how it's working, how it's doing. By doing that, you notice things that you didn't notice at the first.
Even gaps in the market, new opportunities. Change brings new opportunity.
There's so many companies that I will give you example. The first when they started, that was Facebook. Oh, we all use Facebook, but Facebook, it was not Facebook that is today.
Thank God. I don't know. Maybe.
But now they are moving mostly to the marketing.
And look at Metaverse. What happened with Metaverse? Everybody's like, what the heck is this? But they are seeing something that, that there is a gap, that there's change coming. They're moving to, and now it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. But in 5 years from now, the other companies will be like, oh, we need to catch up, because they were not observing.
So observe, not only observe and then decide, because the decision, I think I always say it, running a company or being an entrepreneur, it's being someone who's living by your decision. And as quicker you take your decision to adjust things, as quicker you can grow.
No, you have to be ahead. You cannot be playing the catch-up game. It will cost you a lot of money and clients. Our clients are looking for value and for products and services that cater for their current needs. You cannot still, and I'll just use this example about, videotapes, what is it, VHS, like the big, those old tapes that we used to watch movies, like, and then, and then, and then it's playing the video. Like when DVDs were coming out, and then eventually, or after DVDs, we know that things went digital, onto sound, like onto cloud streaming and so on. Like a lot of people, and I know like the story, I think it was Blockbuster in the US, where they were saying, they're not moving over to DVD because video will be around forever. People will never stop buying videos. And today they don't exist anymore. They were huge, the biggest video company in America, and they died out because they refused to adapt. They refused to change their product. They refused to stay with the times, to be, in a way, to be tough, to be resilient. And resilience requires you to adapt and to change. You cannot just stand there and take the beating all the time. You have to adjust your posture. You have to think differently. You have to think on your feet, as they say, and make changes on the fly to make sure that you stay in the game. Like if you're playing soccer or football or rugby or, any game that's like fast moving, Like you cannot just say, oh, we had this plan and now we stick to the plan no matter what. Like if you see things are not going, you have to adapt. You have to make change. Okay, let's rather try, otherwise the end, like there's going to be gaps.
Maybe it's not that you are changing everything, but adjusting, it can be just moving something.
Yep.
Like the example of the company of a video,
Yeah.
like maybe they could just say, okay, we keep this one, but we can be both sides.
Yeah.
And then see how things going to be. Maybe as they have the experience already in that things, they can come out with something that will make different in the market that others they didn't have by that time. But they decided to keep their mind just in what they're doing. And then they're not the same. Most companies, they do the same thing because they say, no, this is our culture. This is our culture.
Your culture will be your death.
This. You don't adapt yourself to the generation because today generation, it's mostly digital.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, we don't know what's going on. There's metaverse, this stuff.
We'll have virtual podcasts.
Imagine.
There's people that are already doing that. So,
but if you don't adjust with that, you will remain there in you will remain in 2022, while other people will be already in 2030.
Yeah.
And then you won't have any market, and you will die.
No, it's very important. So, as a company owner, it's your responsibility to make sure that you look into the ever-changing world, that you have your eye on the horizon. There are people that are called futurists, and they kind of analyze, trends and see where things are going. So it's good to read up on these kind of things and make sure that you're still relevant, because you are not like the gospel that never, it never changes, is always relevant. But your company will become very irrelevant very fast if you do not change or adapt. And even you as a person, you need to keep growing. Otherwise, you become irrelevant to the company. It's possible that if you have a team of people, they might just outgrow you and work you out. You have to keep changing. You have to grow. It's like the saying, there's like this meme where the guy, he comes, I actually heard this on Eric and John's podcast. Eric was saying this on the Expanse is the podcast name. And he was mentioning this meme, Eric, he was saying that the person, and two people meet after some time, and the person is like, oh, you've changed. And the other person replies, oh, thank you. It's like, thank you. It's like, I'm supposed to change because if I'm growing, I'll be changing. If your company is growing, you'll be changing. If you are not changing, that's a red flag. That should be a warning sign to you that there's not growth happening. So it's very important for you to change and very important for you to adapt. So just quickly as a summary for today's 3 points, if you haven't listened to last week's podcast where we discussed the other 2 points, please go back and listen to that. But for today, remember that you need a brand strategy. Number one, make sure you have a brand strategy. If you need help with that, you can reach out to us and we can be able to assist you with that. Number two, you need to grow as an individual, as a person. Personal growth is directly connected and related to company growth. You cannot separate the two. If you do not grow, your company will not grow. Make sure that you develop yourself. And if you're not sure where to start, again, you can talk to us. That's what we do. We are growth specialists. We help people to identify their growth areas and to grow in those areas. And then number three, make sure that you
adjust and adapt.
Yeah, make sure you're adjusting and adapting. Change, because growth equals change. Not all change is growth, but all growth is change.
Yeah.
So until next week, have a blessed day. God bless you. Bye.